Today, for helping us, for giving insights for a mentor session, we have Sreejith. Sreejith is the co-founder and CEO at True Elements. He brings deep expertise in building consumer brands from the ground up. As the co-founder of True Elements, that is one of the India's leading clean label food brand. He has been instrumental in shaping out the journey from early development of the product to national retail presence, right? And with strong focus of transparency, sustainability, and customer trust, True Elements have set benchmarks also in the food space, which is healthy, right? We will be looking forward to have a discussion with Srijit. And today's session is the topic is scaling a brand in the competitive market by building brand and the consumer trust. So I'll invite Srijit open two words and few lines as an intro, right? And then we can discuss about the topic. Over to you, Srijit.
Hi Sagar, thank you. I saw somebody commenting that can you speak a little louder? Am I clear, audible? Is
Yeah,
my
you're clear and audible too.
okay. Hi guys. So thanks for taking out time out. So I'll just talk about a bit about the journey because that's more relevant on the topic which we'll be discussing today. Okay, because I saw the first question already up there. How did you grow from 0 to 1 crore? What's the hack? Okay, so that's why I thought I'd spend a bit on intro. Okay, so I'm not a consumer guy, I'm not a food guy, I am an human resource professional by training. So I worked in corporate for 7 years. I was heading human resource for Cognizant, Pune. That's when I quit in 2012. Okay, and True Elements we started in 2017. Okay, so 2012 to 2017, there have been three screw up in the sense it didn't work out. So first we went out to build a chain of food service outlets inside corporates, healthy in between meal snacks and beverages. That's what the concept. We thought there's a market out there. Let's go and build it. 12, 13 months down the line, we realized at least in 2012, 2013, the healthy snacks and beverage inside captive corporates were not large enough to run behind. So we had a bunch of products which we had aggregated from across India for selling inside the corporates. 12, 13 months down the line, we realized we will not scale up and we shut it down and bootstrapped it was. And then obviously when you have family to feed and when you have bootstrapped a startup 1 year where you have put in a lot of capital expenses because with all we had around 15, 16 outlets. It's all heavy capital intensive, right? So we thought, what is that we can do to manage the cash flow? From that standpoint, we saw an opportunity in corporate wellness space whereby we were managing the employee wellness program for corporates. But again, the hypothesis we had was 90% of how good you are in terms of health is what you eat. So our overall program, though, started with medical checkup and multiple interventions throughout the year, but had food at the core of it. So we had a lot of services which we piled up in that business, which we ran for roughly 2 years. There is EBITDA there, but scale was not coming. Like scale was very, very cumbersome because every year you need to go and restart the business by negotiating the contract, annual contract with the human resource HR guys, right? So we didn't see that becoming mega. So we shut it down in after 2 years. So that means we were already 3.5 years in Squid, again bootstrapped. So what we had was first startup we had product, second startup we had services. And this I'm talking about 2015, and e-commerce was buzzing. So we built an e-commerce vertical e-commerce in the health space, health products and services by the name healthyworld.in. We built that where we were selling product and services in the health. Vertical e-commerce bootstrapped was stupid stuff to do because in e-commerce you know it if you have started that making money is really tough. That too, you are not having own brand. So we ran that for 18 months and we realized, boss, paisa to aa nahi raha. We raised a round and that also forced us to think how do we give the money back to the investors. That's when we realized we need to have our own brand to increase the margin in our platform. That's how True Elements was launched in 2016, but as a private label for our platform. True Elements came into existence as a private label for our platform. We had any product which was giving us good margin and which was giving us reasonable size, we private labeled into True Elements and started selling. We had honey, we had apple cider vinegar, we had seeds, we had various of tea, a laundry list of products. I'm giving you this background. When I take you through the slide, you'll understand why I'm giving you this long intro, right? So we had a long list of products, and then 2016 and Amazon went live with grocery, and we went and listed there. And within 5 months, we realized the kind of growth Amazon was giving was insane. So and again, we were not making money in our vertical e-commerce. So 2017 July, we decided, let's shut everything down, just focus on True Elements. 2017 July is when we put our 100% into True Elements, and the journey has been phenomenal. We were a digital only brand till 2019. Thanks to our stars, we didn't go offline. Otherwise, COVID would have wiped us out, right? And we had just started offline in 2019 end, but not massive. That helped. And 2020 and 21, once COVID started moving away, we started aggressive offline. As of today, we are there in 14,000 stores across predominantly west, south, and east of India, a little bit of north. And we didn't enter modern trade till last year. It's a conscious choice because entering modern trade is expensive, and servicing that channel is very expensive. Okay, but as of last year, we did 80% of sales online, 40% is marketplaces, 40% is quick commerces, and 20% offline. Unlike many of our peer DTC, we are not heavy DTC. Last year, we had 4.5% of our sales coming from own platform, because we fundamentally believe when we have a product whose value is low but bulk density is high, shipping cost is going to be insane, and service would be a challenge. So we leveraged marketplaces and quick commerce to build our brand. That's our journey. Okay, and we have raised in True Elements, we raised one angel, two institutional VCs, and we gave exit to all of them through a strategic exit infusion by Marico in 2022. And currently, we are in the last phase of exiting the business. That's the stage we are in. So let's jump in. Introduction I gave you because you understand when I'm telling something the reason. That's why I spent more than 5 minutes there. So we'll get into the
Great.
questions later. I'm not looking at questions right now. Sagar, fine, right? I
Yeah,
can already
yeah,
see
yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, we can have a look at the deck first of all, and then we can look at the Q&A. I request everyone to put their questions in the Q&A box only, not in the chat box. Q&A is easy to access and can be answerable easily. Yeah, over to you, Shriji. Thanks.
Okay, so what I would try helping you with is two parts. Growth is a very vast area. We'll just touch about the brand and the customer trust side. Okay, and why it is been structured like that is because when you start up, all of us, unlike me, I just landed up here after 3 experiments, but most of you, I'm assuming, have started up with what you're currently doing. When you are starting up, you get infatuated with the brand, you infatuated with the idea, and you spend a lot of time in there, and then you don't choose the right place to put your initial energy, which is very critical. First 2.5 years very critical, right? So that's why putting into two blocks, one is brand and second is customer trust. I'll club both together, but yeah, right now putting it in two. Now, so where do you start? Do you start talking about brand or customer, or do you need to choose one in terms of your energy before you start, or first 1 year of starting up? Okay, so a lot of people put energy behind brand. Okay, there are startups who have done phenomenal job despite they have just spent time and energy on brand and not much on products. But fundamentally, if that has worked, it's because their product also worked perfectly. Okay, either they had solid team in bag on product and then customer, right? Because otherwise, I've seen a lot of startups founders who talk to me, first 1 year, 6 months, or they are spending on agency for name, agency for packaging, agency, and then doing a lot of stuff in that, because that's required. But that will only take you to a distance. But if you need to travel a long distance, you need to have the other two sorted first, product and customer. Right now, just to give you again context, True Elements right now in hindsight, you will see that was beautiful name. It just fits into your space. We are True. We are the India's first clean label breakfast and snacks brand. So all three fits. But when we were launching it, as I've told you, we launched as a white label. We asked an agency to give us three good names which we can use for our white label, because brand name didn't matter much because it's going to be a white label for our marketplace, right? So we just asked them to give three. We like True Elements. We went. The time spent in deciding that, not more than half an hour, 1 hour. Yeah. Again, did we pick up an elephant design kind of a big agency to do it? No. We just picked up an agency which had just started off 3 years before we engaged them. A Pune-based design bunch of guys. So what I'm trying to tell is, it's important, put your energy, but don't put your energy in the wrong stuff. So what I'm trying to tell is, depends upon the area you are in. Let's say if you're going to get into a very crowded area where your differentiation at the product and at the service level is not much, then probably you don't have any other option apart from putting the energy there. But all the others, get into the right, and put this one. Now this I already touched. Okay. Now all of us, if you are an MBA before starting off, we are all influenced by Kotler, right? We go and decide. Okay, now we need to decide the what should be the brand persona, what should be the brand ethos, what should be the pillars on which brand should be standing. All those is required, right? But having that document in some corner while you are building and scaling and running all over the place will not help. What helps is, what all this, whatever you write, which is which is the pillar on which the brand is standing, those has to be part of you as a person. Because what happens over a period of time is, the brand is you. What you think is, end of the day, initially you will be a couple of guys, then you will have two employees coming in. The first employees will look at you and emanate whatever you do, follow whatever you do, communicate the way you communicate, treat the other people the way you treat. So, and all this defined the brand. What I'm trying to tell is not that you need to be goody goody guy, whoever you are, right? There is a market for an aggressive brat like Kohli as well, right? So don't change yourself for being nice to the world, because then sometime you will get frustrated. Sometime the world will see that you and the brand are different, and that's what the reason for most of the social media outburst and issues happens with most of founders, where they create a persona of the brand X through them, and sometime the world gets to see that, boss, this fellow is not naturally this fellow is something else. I don't want to quote any examples, you will see so many of them out there. So what I'm trying to tell at this stage is, just live your life, put your philosophies. Nobody's philosophies is 100% right, and your purpose is not to please everyone. Now, first leg of building. Another mistake which I've seen a lot of founders do is, you are building a digital brand, and you think that, boss, all your first 1,000 customers will be acquired digitally. It could be acquired digitally, but the problem with that kind of an approach is, it will come at a very high cost. Second, your first 1,000 customers may not give you the right feedback. So what I have done, which has worked with us, which I have seen many of reasonably successful brands, is, well, you need to first have your well wishers in your side, right? Well wishers, your batchmates, your former colleagues, your schoolmates, your family, your community where you live. End of the day, you we might be building to be a unicorn, right? To, let's say, an 8,000 crore, and assuming that your product is, let's say, 200 300 rupees, right? You roughly need 40 lakh kind of people, but it has to start somewhere, right? So don't just create a product, put it on the website, put it on Instagram, and start running ads on it. It doesn't work. Okay, you touch the first 1,000 people, and that matters. I have stood and sold our products in the kiosk for good 2 3 years. So we used to work with being a health. When we started, we were not a clean brand, right? We were a health brand, right? We used to be part of a lot of marathons, right? Any marathon happening in Bangalore, Pune, Mumbai, I have stood there in kiosk and sold. We have sampled. We have done multiple stuff. Two stuff which helped is, one is, biggest question most of the people who when start is how do I pick up an MOQ and how do I make sure that it gets sold before it becomes expired or it becomes an old stock or whatever. The best way to liquidate your MOQ inventory is kiosks. If you start selling online and if you want to liquidate all that online, it will come at a very heavy cost. Go and stand at farmers market, go and stand at marathons, go and take your kid's school. If you have a kid, they'll have some event, your society will have some festival. There are umpteen number of avenues where you can go stand and sell. Biggest thing is you get the feedback then and there, and start documenting it, because those feedbacks you will whatever you'll miss those once you scale. Once you are in, let's say, 50 100 crore, you won't be able to do it yourself, right? And then you miss those days. You cannot do once in a while. So enjoy that first 1 year when you can start, take your car, fill your stock, go and start selling, because that gives you the one feedback. Second, when you are standing with the brand is you, right? Whatever the brand stands for is you. So you will communicate it the best. Instead of putting a promoter there, instead of putting an intern there, when you stand and tell the message which goes out, which obviously is the starting message which will go to the universe, will be the right message. And whoever works with you will see that, boss, this is what the brand means. You will change. You will evolve over a period of time, but people will see that, and that sets the tone, right? So initially I would say, until you get a grip of what does the how does it perform, until you get a grip of which market, what price point, which consumer you need to sell, you might have everything figured out when you start, but 90 95% of times you'll have to course correct it, right? So the course correction is best possible when you do that on the ground by standing in front. So do that. That's a must, right? And why I'm touching that with brand is because what is brand? Brand is what you believe. What brand is what your value system. And your value system, who else can tell in the world than you? So do that, and that will help in one, liquidating your MOQ stock, extra stock, second, getting the feedback, and third, starting the tonality for the culture and the brand ethos. And one another stuff which I see, like I've done this mistake. So let's say you've started off, you are, let's say, 4 5 lakhs a month kind of business. Okay, whom should you be talking to? Whom should you be hanging around with? That's important. Why I'm telling that's important is, a brand which is 100 crore should not be behaving like a brand which is 5 lakhs a month. So it's vice versa as well, right? For example, a brand which is 100 crore will have to spend a lot on brand, and probably performance marketing, the percentage would change, right? But at your early stage, you don't need to learn that. What you need to learn is somebody who is doing 50 lakhs. If you're at 5 lakh, you need to hang around with people who are doing 50 lakhs. If you are 1 crore, hang around with people who are doing 1.5 2 crore. Moment you are 5 lakhs and you're hanging around with 10 crore guys, the FOMO will kill you. One. Second, you'll do a lot, you will get influenceable, you will hear these guys talking all those kind of stuff, but what they are doing is relevant for them. At that stage, when you hit that, you can do those. But at that 5 lakh stage, you need to speak to people who are 50 lakhs. One founder whom I have seen do that beautifully is Varun Alag, right? Varun Alak changes his circle of people hang around at each stage of his company. He has done it beautifully. I know him since 2016. That's a skill. So what I'm trying to tell is, you need to learn what is required for you for next 12 months. What you need to learn or what you need to do after 12 months, you can learn later, right? So that is important, because otherwise, because there is no, except apart from these learning sessions, there's no book to teach you how to run a business, how to scale a business, right? So you learn on the go, you hang around with founders, and so you need to hang around with the right people. So you need to have a bunch of guys. When I told you 5 lakh, 50 lakh, 1 crore, 1.5 2 crore, and you also need to have one or two guys whom you want to become, whom you aspire to be. But don't spend too much time with those guys, but have a once a month, once a quarter hi hello with those guys. This is important, because otherwise the learning you get may not be relevant for you. And the second leg. Now I've seen founders who are building a brand on one product. Okay, there are people who have done it. Okay, and immense respect for people who are doing it, but the cost of doing going wrong is way too high in those cases. So what I have done, what has worked for us is not too wide, not too narrow, right? That means your brand can't be in a very small TAM unique space where you don't have any adjacency available, where you don't have any other SKUs you can hop upon, right? So if you're getting into that kind of a narrow space, make sure that you think about a space which is adjacent, think about few SKUs which is right next, and you can, because end of the day, Flipkart didn't start to be an e-commerce, okay, or Mama didn't start to be a personal care. He want to be start a mother's food. He want to launch chai and those kind of stuff. Right? So what I'm trying to tell is, whatever you are doing today, you won't be doing 5 years down the line for sure, right? You will change. So be ready for it. And that change can happen for some people in 6 months, for some people 12 months. So don't be too narrow. And again, don't be too wide, right? When you are too wide, building a brand is a tough game, right? And whether each consumer will think differently for the brand, right? If let's say if you are in personal care, women health, women hygiene, color cosmetics, each of the consumers' perception about the brand is different. And over a period of time, you obviously can't run behind all, right? You might struggle, right? But there are people who have done it. I'm not telling, if you think that you are those gifted guys, if you have that confidence, and you, after you validate with few of your mentors, yeah, you are that gifted guy, run behind it. But 90-95% of people are not. People are like us, right? Janta, common janta. So don't to go too narrow, don't go too wide. And second, right now, when you're DTC, everybody thinks about his brand, so people are investing too much on brand, right? And what happens over a period of time is brand salience is kick-ass, but revenue, like I can't, obviously there are some competition of ours, you will hear the brand, you will think that no, this brand must be doing 300 crore. You actually go in the balance sheet books, you will see that 40 crore, 50 crore. So sometimes what happens, they've invested so much on the brand salience is next level, but sales is not justifying that, right? For example, then what happens is, there are founders who are raising on that brand story, right? There are founders who are, and there are Sequoia kind of funds, or not Sequoia, so the new named Sequoia kind of funds who will fund you that, right? No harm, right? But what happens in that kind of journey, not every time, but most often, is that your subsequent valuation will not justify your early valuations, and liquidation preference will kick in, and the founder will lose a lot of stake at the time of exit or at the time of series BC. So ideally, initially when you are starting off, so I use kind of a thumb rule kind of stuff, until you are, let's say, 50 lakhs a month, 40-50 lakhs a month, focus 95% on danda. Okay, but you obviously need to have everything of brand sorted, but don't spend on brand, on meta, don't spend, man, everything has to be performance. Okay, because end of the day, once you reach there, okay, then weaving a story among the consumers and creating a brand is easy, but not otherwise, not otherwise, right? So at least, so do, what I'm trying to tell is, so I'll tell you another learning. So in 2016, right, this is the era when Instagram was not there, at least we were not using it, and we were in the Facebook. So we used to run a two food story as part of our social media outreach, right? So we used to compare two food products and post every Saturday, right? And that time, obviously, the designer is me, content creator is me, everything is founders only, right? And we used to get a kick creating that content on Saturday, and we'll keep looking कितना reach हुआ, कितना impression हुआ, Monday, Tuesday, वाह मजा आया, Tuesday तक मजा आया, then धंधा कर रहा है, फिर वापस next week वापस वो cycle. It only when we started doing 12 months realize, बस वो impression तो कुछ मतलब का ही नहीं है, धंधा आ ही नहीं रहा है, right? Those impression, people like it, people share it, but when it comes to conversion, nothing, right? So initially look at those yardsticks, you look at those measurements with razor focus, otherwise all your money will go down the drain. So be very focused on this. And now the next leg for me is somewhere around 30-40 lakhs plus, right? That is the stage I'm talking about these points, right? Now at this stage, what happens is, till that time you are the only guy who is doing everything, right? You're doing marketing, you're doing account management, you're doing agency management, you're doing ordering, everything you're doing, right? Now at let's say 20 30 lakhs kind of a stage, you'll have a team. Obviously before that you will have a team, but those team are looking up to you for everything, right? But once you cross this 20, people will start taking decisions on their own. And for that you should have set the right policies, brand principles, as simple as, for example, now which all conditions you can refund for the product, okay, or which all customer issues should directly be brought into your attention, right? All the customer complaint doesn't need to be brought to your attention, right? Which are those burning ones which you can't delay getting into because it might blow up and cost you big, right? So those principles has to be put in, right? That has to be put in 2030. Otherwise what happens, you only get to know when something has happened, or you don't get to know most of the time, because at that stage you are raising money, you are meeting people outside, you might be spending little less time in office, right? And as such you might not know what all things are happening, and after things have gone and the culture has changed, you'll get to know, boss ye kaise ho gaya. So at that stage, the documentation which I told you about brand, policies, principles, process, what to do, customer management, everything has to be put in. And this is the stage at which you start working on your unpaid PR. I'm not talking about putting a PR agency. I've got a founder who just started off, was doing 5 lakh rupees, was asking me, should I start putting a PR agency and invest on personal brand of the founder, spending like 50,000 rupees, 1 lakh rupees a month. मतलब पागल हो गया क्या? 50,000 rupees, 2 ROAS, you will get 1.5 lakh rupees का sales. Even at 20-30% repeat, you have acquired the customer for life. So don't get into paid PR until you are 1.5 to 2 crore a month. It has to be organic. It has to be organic, but you can do a lot of organic. Yeah, आजकल thanks to Shark Tank, everybody, our चाचा मामा सबको लगता है बस all the founders are some celebrities, right? All of us are some millionaires. हमको पता है मतलब account खाली है, बैंक वाले को खाली पता है हमारा औकात क्या है, right? But so people have this perception that all these founders are some from other planet. Use that. No, that's PR. But only thing is that how do you weave around a story around it is what. So don't spend on money, but you should start putting around this. Now this slide, I want you to spend a couple of minutes. Okay, this is a slide which I have used in multiple sessions. Okay, because this slide decides or helps you which phase what to focus, right? For example, let's just see that quick commerce and modern trade, the last but one, those two. If you start getting in the early stage, now everybody thinks, was quick commerce there is limited shelf life. If you don't get in future, you may not get a chance. But you only have one chance there. Once you screw up, they don't give you second chance. If your product doesn't have offtake, if your product doesn't have repeat, if your product get expired, if there's handling issues, if there is supply chain issues, if the fulfillment is not above 90, you don't get the second chance, you're done. That's the same case with modern trade, that's the same case with quick commerce. That's why I have put in, see, I put in somewhere in early stage, not before pre-seed seed, right? Now the reason for this is because if you enter there, the mistakes would cost you a bump, right? Or for example, brand marketing or team development. Now there are founders who are building team in the seed stage, pre-seed stage. भाई pre early stage तक तो टीम के ऊपर मतलब फोकस ही नहीं रहना चाहिए बॉस. You are supposed to be available, right? You are not supposed to be having a team that time, because then otherwise you will not optimize the cost. You will not be able to optimize each rupee raised in pre, because the dilution at seed stage is 10-15% is coming at very small amount, right? You are getting what 3-4 करोड़ अकाउंट में आ रहा है, and you're diluting 15-20%, right? At that stage, that money is very precious. So putting it in the right place is important. So I could probably share this slide if you require, but you need to have right focus at the right time. Now, this is one principle which most of us don't realize until we are pushed to the wall. We think that we get money for the brand, we get money for the idea, we get money for one, you and the customer. Rest all changes. You're like just let me tell you which brand. Let's say Whole Truth. Whole Truth didn't start as Whole Truth. It was and nothing else for good, I don't know how long, right? Shashank, the friend and the competition as well, but I'm giving you, right? So he's a marketing wizard. He's a guru, right? If he can change the brand, and he has done packaging change once or twice. So what I'm trying to tell is brand will change, right? Name might change, color tonality might change, what you stand for might change, product might change. So what is that you're going to get for life is one, that customer, right? For example, now now let me give you one classic scenario, right? There is one customer. uh, सागर ये रिकॉर्ड करके बाहर मत डालना, मैं जो बोलने वाला है मेरा okay, so there is one customer who had a, let me be politically right, had a foreign particle in the product. In our product there is a foreign particle, okay, blew up, right? He was all over the social media. The only thing is he didn't even reach out. He first went to social media and then started posting in LinkedIn and all those things, and we only got to know after it blew up, right? So before customer care called, I called the customer. I pinged in the LinkedIn, and obviously customer was furious, right? Furious to the extent, and he was from north, so the furiousness levels of people from north, west, south, right? Because if you ask your customer care team, they will tell you, right? So furious to the core. I listened to the person. Okay, I will not even tell you what. Obviously, he was asking compensation, all those stuff. We didn't do any money business, nothing. Okay, but today, whenever I post anything on LinkedIn, on any post, first 20-30 minutes, most likely likes or comment will be from him. So what I'm trying to tell is, right, the customer is what is going to be with you forever. Whether you build something now, you build something tomorrow, because initial customers are coming in for the story, for the founder, because they also, so that means we don't focus on the customer in the initial, like we are all busy with brand. Product is important, boss. Product change hota hai, space. So focus there. You need to spend. But why I'm spending so much time on this is because we don't consider that if you do whatever business, whatever startup later, those customers will come, and you need 50 to 100 super influencers to go and spread word. That's it for the initial leg. That's all you need. Now so there is this one customer who used to buy no added sugar muesli of ours, which has got jowar, right? And jowar is a coarse grain. It is not small change in process. It becomes too hard, right? That customer got little hard muesli grain in the initial leg. He spoke to customer care a couple of times, and he told, no, I want to speak to the founder. Then I spoke, and after that, whenever he buys muesli, he'll give a feedback directly to me on WhatsApp, right? And I know there are bunch of guys like that. It's painful to engage. Earlier, I used to reply within, let's say, few hours. Now I have a within WhatsApp, I have a group. I put all that. Whenever that message comes into that group, I go and clear that once in a week, kind of stuff. So what I'm trying to tell is, now small stuff matters. Small stuff matters in the initial leg for sure. Even in the later leg as well. But initial leg, these are the stuff which comes to you inexpensive. There's no kharcha at all, right? You take care of one customer, you don't know what all he or she can do, right? Now, for example, oatmeal. We launched oatmeal in 2018. That category didn't exist. We tried building that category for good 5-6 years till 2020 to 23. We gave up, boss. ये होने नहीं वाला, and we started looking at renaming that category. And then last year oatmeal again blew up in US, and now oatmeal is getting built up again. Right? This idea came from a customer. A customer was buying rolled oats, told us that I buy rolled oats, and your rolled oats I buy because I make oatmeal, overnight oatmeal. When I pour milk on it, I don't have dust coming on it. Your oats is very clean, right? What do? You do some chemical treatment, because of which the customer spoke for that. But one that customer call again, so the customer want to speak to the founder to understand what do we do. I spoke. That's where we got that oatmeal idea, and we became the first oatmeal company in India. So what I'm trying to tell is, whatever stage, initial stage for sure, you need to be having your ears on the ground, right? And there are occasions when customers have invested, right? There were couple of angel investments for us in the third round came from few of our customers who were with us in the beginning. One of them was a runner whom I got in touch during one of the kiosks, right? So what I'm trying to tell is we don't value customer through our leg. We do a lot of lip service, but in practice we don't. But in our case, till last year we didn't have any celebrity. We have not a brand which is spent too much on meta in this one. We have built initial leg purely on Amazon organic reviews, right? Now again, one more point which I had earlier, which I want to touch upon is because in Amazon to improve ranking, improve conversion, you obviously need to have more reviews. But these days, to get more reviews, you obviously get buy reviews, right? But the problem with buying reviews is you don't get to see the actual feedback about the product, right? Now, so once up, like at least few years back, when I used to have a bad day, I used to go and read the 5-star reviews in few of our Amazon product because हमारा तो परफॉर्मेंस अप्रेजल तो होता नहीं है, राइट? हमको खाली गाली आता है, राइट? मतलब वेंडर का पेमेंट का गाली आता है, कस्टमर का आता है, एम्प्लॉय का आता है, किसी का आता है. सो शाबाशी कौन देता है? मतलब इन्वेस्टर भी शाबाशी नहीं देता है, राइट? सो आई यूज टू गो एंड रीड द 5-star रिव्यूज इन Amazon and we have built on it. And in between, when we used to launch new categories, we used to have pressure from marketing team, sir review build kar lete hain, otherwise ranking is difficult. But one thing which worked for us, I know we were in the earlier phase of Amazon, so we could do it, is we had the patience to build, right? We have 10,000 kind of organic reviews on products, and any small change in product I can see the reviews coming in there. So I don't have to run. I can run a survey, I can speak to customers. वो सब करने की जरूरत नहीं, सीधा मतलब I can run sprinkler, get the some dump and then analyze that. So when you do paid reviews, the problem in initial leg, I'm coming from the initial leg, right? You don't get the real feedback because you get the all feedback, you don't know सच्चा कौन सा है, फर्जी कौन सा है, right? And that is important, otherwise you will not reach the next phase, right? So if you are if you ask me, then how do you manage Amazon without that, right? It's tough, right? So you need to have the right balance, right? You need to have a knack of how to get the, because otherwise getting feedback is very important, right? And one thing, this is another example which I'll tell you of a consumer, right? This customer had bought a seed mix of ours, and apparently she was using this for making prasad at home, okay? And there was some infestation in the seed mixes, एंड शी ओबियसली बॉस मेरा प्रसाद का ये हो गया, भगवान को मैं भोग इंसेक्ट वाला खिला दिया एकदम ऊपर से, ओके? मतलब मैंने अगेन आई स्पोक. सो मैं ऐसे ही पूछा, मैडम आप कौन सा मंदिर की मतलब कौन सी भगवान की पूजा कर रहे थे? मतलब राधा कृष्ण के कर रहे थे. ओके मैम, मतलब वी आर अ स्टार्टअप अगेन, सो वी यूज द स्टार्टअप कार्ड अ लॉट. यू शुड यूज एज वेल टू गेट एम्पैथी ऑफ कस्टमर्स, इन्वेस्टर्स, बिकॉज एंड ऑफ द डे सबको लगता नहीं यार बच्चे स्ट्रगल कर रहा है, फाइट कर रहा है. सो throw the startup card here and there. We used to throw startup hai, trust us, we will cover up for what has happened with you. And we arranged a Madura mein puja and her name. We send a Radha Krishna ji ka murti and she is floored, right? No money can replace and get all those kind of stuff. So surprise consumers. Now the problem with surprise is, for example, now the template of surprise has become universal. Everybody is using the same surprise. सब लोग just I'll tell you. Yesterday I got a bunch of samples. I hope I don't have the brand name here. Our founder sent it to me this, right? So
Right.
this is a brand which is getting launched just while you're talking. Okay. So ये standard हो गया, मतलब it's there, it's everybody boss. I don't know कितने लोग ये बैठ के पढ़ते हैं, right? कितने लोग, and this is not surprise. This is no more surprise. This used to be surprise. Yeah, but surprise probably is a handwritten note. This I read completely, handwritten note by the founder. I read completely, right? So that's surprise. But what was surprise yesterday is no more a surprise. That means you need to, and again, don't spend 1 rupee extra, right? It has to be jugaad kind of stuff, because surprise in nice way is good thing. When the surprise goes wrong, you are done, right? Then it becomes a disgruntled customer who will come after you, right? So you need to have the right balance, and you need to know what is that you're chasing. So keep that in mind. And you don't realize that every brand which is out there, which is lived beyond the founder, has a huge component of customer service. You might think Apple has the best product. No, Apple has the best product as well. right? The kind of experience, whether you visit a New York store or a Mumbai BKC store, starting from the way they speak, the way they treat you, the way the lights are lit, everything is universal, right? It is that's what is brand, right? That's so customer service has to be your top priority in the first leg, slightly above brand until you are 10 15 lakhs, and then slowly it comes up, because then your brand will stand for that and you need it for lifelong. But this is very important, no, very important to the extent that because I found many startup sessions where customer service is spoken. Everybody talks about brand, everybody talks about all this kind of stuff, not spoken. Because I believe, even in my next startup, one thing which we have built is, whether unknowingly, whatever true elements true stand for, there is a person of me in that, and people also connect that to me. So if I do something again around true, I'm sure a lot of consumers are going to come and just at least give us a try, right? So that is very critical. So focus on that. We have 15 minutes left. I think I'll jump into questions rather than. Okay, how did you grow from 0 to 1 crore? What is the hack? Okay, now depends upon 0 to 1 crore is very easy. Depends upon how much money you want to spend, right? So if you have a lot of money, you can do 0 to 1 crore. Like, let's just say that Super U snacks, 8 crore 6 months. They are a 100 crore, 100 ARR brand in 6 months, right? That snacks brand by Bianis, this one, right? So he had the money, he had the muscle power, they can do it, right? So depends upon how much you can afford. And again, if you're raising and doing it, and as I've told you, because if you're raising, if you spend in brand in the initial leg, you may not have the numbers stacking up for the subsequent round. And then what will happen is your brand salience will be very strong, your numbers won't stack up, and your valuation won't add up. And if you don't find a VC who is going to invest on the brand and the story, you might have a struggle or your dilution in subsequent round, because of liquidation preference will be very high. So the hack is, depends upon how much you can afford. So you can you go omni channel these days. Omni channel doesn't mean you go on GT, because that's a very patient game, right? So hack is to go digital first, because there doing 1 crore will not take as much time as you will do offline, right? Offline will take time, but if your category is like a Laorizira, then obviously you have to go offline, right? But if your category is an online category where you can, okay. First, I would want everybody to what we have done. Okay, every year during summer internship of MBAs, we used to hire a couple of interns. We have done it from 2017 every year. Hire a couple of interns. उनका दो ही काम है. ओके, लुक फॉर ऑल द प्लेटफॉर्म जहां पे फूड कोई भी बेचता है. Look for institutional and B2B sales. I have done it every year for last 7 8 years, right? And why we, so initially we used to go and list in all the places. Okay, we burned a lot of money, right? Few startups shut down, like marketplaces tha chalaya, right? One company Fable, okay, shut down with 1 crore payable for us, right? Gaya, right? But so subsequently what we did is, we obviously now have for small new marketplaces, give us advance, put money, and we will reduce it from that. So what I'm trying to tell is, go and list, because that's a free organic impressions you're going to get, right? But again, you can't put your time. Hire interns. Okay, tier 2 tier 3 interns are looking for good work. Okay, if you go and hire in tier 1, they will ask you stipend, they will ask you a lot of other stuff. Go and hire from tier 2 tier 3. I can proudly tell, my current team joined me in my earlier startups in 2012 2013 20, all of them are there, because I'm an HR guy. I hire tier 2 tier 3 hungry guys, and nobody can deliver like them, right? So hire interns, go and get listing. That's free impressions, right? But again, be cautious that if you need to have a close focus on money coming in. Otherwise, a lot of this e-commerce, vertical commerce coming in, going in this regular stuff, and use influencers, use Instagram, upcoming influencers, somebody who want to become one, right? You can't go and pay 20,000 to 50,000 rupee 20 people, right? What you do is you go and get 5,000 follower kind of 10 20 guys, hire interns, ask them to go, and because those 5,000 follower guys need sample products to go and put in there, they are trying to ramp up their followers, right? So initial leg, don't pay money to the influencer, give the product, they'll be happy with the product. Get 30 40 guys, you can get them with aram se interns, get that. That's how you build. That means what I'm trying to tell is marketplaces. Okay, don't go quick commerce in the initial leg until the product is sorted, until your supply chain is sorted, you're sure your fulfillment rate is going to be above 90. Don't get into quick commerce because these days quick commerce is very expensive. They will make you spend a lot on marketing. The margins are way too high, and the tolerance level is too less. Like 15 days offtake drops, they'll send you the stock back, right? So you put that time in marketplaces, put that time in doing the offline kiosk. Don't go all across the world. If you are in a small town, just capture your town first, right? Just to give you, like, if let's say you are in a tier 2 tier 3 city, okay, and then you are a, let's say, mass premium kind of a brand in whatever category. You in India has so much population, you still in any city will have your relevant population of 30 40 lakhs. I know they'll be spread, you can tap them, go to offline kiosk. So I would say go do that, and then slowly brand salience will get built, and by the time you will have fixed the product gap, you will have fixed the supply chain gap, then go to quick com, then go to modern trade, then go to offline, right? How did you launch your MVP and found your PMF? I told you in the initial, I just sprayed all the possible products in my marketplace, private labeled it, send everything out, and I only filtered top selling products and I scaled on that. I could do that because I was running a marketplace. Everybody can't do it. But again, as I've told you, don't go too narrow, don't go too wide, right? Because 90% of time your product will fail, right? 90% of time it may not. So don't invest too much. For example, people invest too much on the brand packaging and all that, and suddenly after 6 months you realize ये तो चल ही नहीं रहा. So quickly go in with jugaad, do a trial, do proper feedback, then print the pouch. We printed the pouch after 3 years of being True Elements. We had white pouch, white sticker. Even today, our new products are not printed pouches. The reason we have black pouch is black pouch, black sticker. You will not even get to know that it's sticker, right? So every month we used to launch 4 products, new products, and we also scrap 2 3 out. That we could do because of this jugaad. If you go and print, you'll have to do 10,000 MOQ, yeah, and you'll have to wait for what, at least a month for the print to come, right? The fastest launch I've done is 4.5 days from idea. मेरे को क्या चाहिए, पाउच तो ब्लैक पाउच तो पड़ा रहता है, स्टिकर तो प्रिंटर 2 दिन में दे देता है, प्रोडक्ट रेडी, हम खुद का प्रोडक्शन है आउट. So what I'm trying to tell is that is because it will go wrong. The cost of mistakes can't be too much. That's what important in the initial leg. Which offline stores are the most important ones in, okay, let me, more important ones in terms of sale volumes for you? How hard was it to get into offline stores? Any tips to share? Beverage startup who is trying to get into Nature's Basket. भाई Nature's Basket में घुसना मत. Nature's Basket is a हवा. Okay, we are there. Okay, payment don't come in time. Okay, offtake is not much. Nature's Basket is like you feel nice seeing that shelf. Sales ज़्यादा नहीं होता है, right? You would rather go to let's say in your city, in your area, there will be a high throughput self-service standalone store. He might give you more attention, he or she might give you more sales than a Nature's Basket store. Because if you just go and stand in front of Nature's Basket, footfall is less. Too many. Their model is listing. They list a lot of brands, and so okay. That's second part. First part, what kind of stores, right? So we have only been into self-service counters of 1,500 square feet up, right? Exceptions are there in Bombay kind of cities where store format is less, right? So depends upon what category. If you don't have a promoter, then obviously you need to have self-service counters. Otherwise, you will be behind somewhere in the aisle. Customers won't get to know, right? So what is important is you have the shelf space and it's self-service. Again, so one thing which I've noticed is don't get into modern trade. There is a regional modern trade. Regional modern trade is like there are 3 4 outlet kind of chains in each city or each state. Like now, South has so many of them, right? I know in Kerala there are some 4 or 5 chains. In Andhra is all of such chains. Bangalore has like Namdari kind of chain, Nilgiri kind of chain. So not national chains. National chains is like DMart, Nature's Basket, Star Bazaar. Go to regional outlets. Okay. Now there you'll be able to control the inventory, because the challenge with national chains is because they might get a warehouse delivery. By the time the stuff in your case beverage, I'm sure it has to be fresh on the shelf. By the time it actually reach the store, it's almost a month, right? So you need to have one first yardstick in the initial leg. It has to be store delivery, not warehouse delivery. That means your stock goes to shelf quicker, because most likely this will be on credit, right? That means your cash reconciliation cycle will be faster. Cash will come faster. So one filter, self-service counters. Second filter, it has to be store delivery, right? And speak to founders and understand, because most of the M3s are struggling. Bad paymasters make sure money is coming in. Where is AI tech going to play a role? DTC brands, food, fashion, future. What are one of the two huge pain points AI can solve? As of now, most of us use AI in discovery and automating the content generation piece. I don't think I'm not considering chatbots and those of the world are different stuff, right? That's where most of the work is being done these days. Okay, but a lot of work could be done in let's say in the optimization level. A lot of work help could be done in understanding the data part, because there's action happening, but that's little expensive for most of the startups. It's only accessible for an HUL and Marico kind of companies, not for early. So if that can be democratized, nothing like it. Okay, and because it's still consumer usage is not at the India, let's say beyond India A plus, right? AI is being used still by that small cohort of people, right? Now, if you have a product for that cohort, then well and good. But if you have a product which is beyond India A plus, then you be there, but don't put your energy behind. Are there any great PR social influencer agencies you have worked with that you would recommend? uh, I don't think very rarely a founder will recommend agency, because we are always of the opinion that बस नहीं चल नहीं रहा यार, agency के थ्रू नहीं चला, हम खुद ही कर चलते हैं, right? So but one thing is worked is big agencies don't work at the early stage. You need to have small agencies. The reason I am telling is, whether it is for content, whether it is for amplification, whether it is for design, is in the initial phase, what is required more is the time the agency have for you. Big agencies will not have time for you. What they will have is they have credibility stamp. Okay, but still, when you go to a big agency, the real what do you call, stars won't work on your account. There will be a small 1 year 2 year experience intern working on your account, right? But if you got a small agency, who's a small agency? Typically somebody who's worked in a big agency for 5-10 years, or somebody 3-4 years smart kid jumped out. That 5-10 year old brain won't work on your account in a big agency, right? They will work on big paying customers like the biggies, right? Early stage guys will be serviced by a 1 year intern, 2 year experienced guy. So the money you put in, you have the stamp, you have obviously an audience of the agency director for the pitching session. उसके बाद उसका शक्ल आपको देखने को नहीं मिलेगा, right? So I would say, if you what your filter should be, is the other guy smart? Do they have time in on you, right? But because ये क्या है, these days everybody knows everyone, right? Everybody will tell, मैं इसको जानता हूँ, उसको जानता हूँ, इसको सबको जानते हैं, बस मैं भी जानता हूँ आपको, right? But काम कराने के चक्कर में तेरे पास टाइम है और तेरे पास एनर्जी है क्या लगाने के लिए? You so small guys are looking for one success, and if that's you, nothing like it. So that's what my philosophy is. I could be wrong. For a DTC innerwear brand with an average selling price of 349, what should be the ideal percentage sales split across different channels, marketplace, own website, quick commerce, Amazon, FBA? Okay, ideal percentage sales split. Uh, DTC innerwear, इसका मतलब keyword is expensive, right? Very expensive rather, because there are biggies there. That means getting to your own website through Meta is going to be expensive. That means you need to look at influencer mode, that means social and getting in, right? So what I would say is your energy should be more on marketplaces. On, if it is again not a premium one, go behind Mishos of the world, Mintra Mishos of the world, right? There you still have it is still democratic. Okay, I don't know how many of you know why when I'm telling why marketplaces is democratic is because in a quick commerce, the ranking first two scrolls is managed, right? How do you rank your product? There is not purely algorithm, right? But in Amazon, in to an extent Flipkart, in an Mintra, in all those places, algo driven. That means it is still democratized. So those places you stand a chance of showing your metal. So go in there, right? Website. I'm not worked in this category, but I am assuming looking at the competition, the keyword can't be cheap, and you need to look at the Jugaad influencer, social media kind of route to get traffic to your website. And quick commerce, this category is new to them because I know Helium founders reasonably well. For them, couple of quick commerce is working, and but that's also expensive, right? But depends upon how much your wallet will allow is what I would say. What are the three most important hires you have made? Hiring changes at your stage. Initially, the hiring I made was different. When I was 100 ARR, the hiring I did was different, right? So, but the culture of the organization is built by the initial hiring of freshers, interns, somebody with 1 year, 2 year experience who believe in you, who look up to you, right? So, three important hires. Answering your question, because I hired it because a person who came in the initial leg is not good enough for me in the current journey. So I have hired experienced guys lateral couple of years back from the market, right? So that you will also go through the same phase. You will have freshers coming with you, some 1 2 year experience coming with you. Then once you are hit 1.5 2 crore ARR, you need 3 4 year experience. When you are at let's say 7 8 crore ARR, you will need really veterans coming in. So you need to keep hiring for them. Again, you can't be. So there are people who have hired very early, like you are at 5 lakh and you have hired, let's say, somebody who is an account manager for a category in Amazon at let's say 50 60 lakhs. You don't need that person, right? So the way I told you whom you should be hanging around with, you also need to have a playbook whom you should hire for each stage, right? If you hire for the next stage and you're in this stage, you are paying more, right? Or if you have built a compensation structure where ESOP is more, if this doesn't work, it will cost you. It'll actually come in interference in your journey. So hire for your current stage, and somebody might, not everybody, some of you, those guys might mature to be ready for the next stage. Not everybody, right? Some guys, like for example, my person whom I hired in the healthyworld.in for managing my Mumbai operations, now currently head my complete supply chain, 200 crore plus revenue kind of stuff, right? So what I'm trying to tell is some people scale, not everybody. You need to keep changing. uh, how can we approach the marathon events for kiosks for a nutrition brand? All these guys want free sampling. They want some product to go inside the goodie bags. Go and give them, boss. I'll give you मतलब winners kit 4 हैम्पर दे दूंगा. We have done 4 हैम्पर स्टेज में दे दिया, हमको कियोस्क मिल गया. ओके, और हमने बोल दिया बॉस 500 मतलब आपका आपका मतलब 5,000 साइन अप है. आई विल गिव यू लेट्स से ओनली फॉर सीरियस रनर्स 15 किलोमीटर प्लस रनर्स के लिए क्विट में हम देता हूँ, सैंपल देता हूँ. दे विल गिव यू अ कियोस्क, right? Your sampling is happening, you are getting to speak to everyone. How much money range should a DTC nutrition startup who have just started revenue look at raising fund initially? No right answer. No right answer. I fundamentally believe the the best funding is raised when you actually don't need the money, right? That's when you can demand better terms, right? That means do you take money and keep? No, I don't mean that, right? So there's no right answer to it, right? Because in initial stage when you raise money, dilution is going to cost you, because you have to at least have 5 6 rounds before you exit or you sell or do something, right? At 6 rounds, at 10% dilution, you are at sub 20% at 5 6 rounds. You don't have much meat left as long as your value of the company is enormously big. And that happens, let's say, 1 or 2% of the successful startups. That means assuming that you're only going to have, let's say, 500 to 1,000 crore exit, will 20% interest you, and that means delayed. Usually customers don't leave reviews or ratings when they are satisfied. In such cases, completely agree भाई. मतलब हम बोलते हैं बॉस 1% रिव्यू आता है, राइट? 1% में रोने वाले ज़्यादा आता है, खुश वाले आते नहीं है, राइट? नो, पीपल गिव इंसेंटिव, पीपल डू as long as there is no surprise in the product, not the surprise की ऐसा चिट्ठी चिट्ठी डाल दिया, those surprises get you reviews, not the surprise कि मैं 50 रुपये का कैशबैक देता हूँ आजकल. I don't think even that works, right? Right, people do that. So you need to have some hack. Can we see the letter from the pamphlet that you showed, Srijit, the product that is getting launched? Yeah, that's a very, very big launch. I can't. I'll post on that product tomorrow on LinkedIn, so you can see that. I don't want to do that right now. Which year after starting you started to get profitable, and what was the burn before that? So we became profitable. Actually, we were bootstrapped from 2012 till 2016, right? That means we were putting in money and we were cash flow positive. But EBITDA level, we were just positive in the midst of COVID. Then we raised a round of VC. We ran behind top line, right? And same with strategic. So it's because end of the day, one thing which you have done since beginning is because we don't know how to spend money. We are very bad at that. We don't know how to burn money. We are very bad at that. That's a weakness. I'm telling you, because there are people who know how to spend money. I don't know that. No, because of that, I always used to spend depends upon how much is left in my bank account, right? Because I can't be building a company assuming that बस कल वो पैसा आएगा. वो मेरे को नहीं आता है, right? If you are good at that, that's a strength which I admire. You go behind that. I'm not the competent person to advise on that. And food agro, which product should one build? This is too much यार, मतलब this is a एक घंटे का आंसर है. What should be ideal gross margin in a food brand? Good question. Currently D2C with Meta spends. Okay, this is a good question. I didn't connect that because that was not brand. Okay, one filter I use. Okay, when we started, filter we had was cost ka we used to have 3x as MRP. I'm talking about 2017. That means if 30 रुपया cost है, 90 rupees पे MRP बेचता था. That was when I started in 2017. It doesn't work now to sell DTC. Okay, ideal multiple of the cost is 4.5. Okay, assuming you are not building a discounted brand, you are only giving 5-10% discount. That means 4.5 में 0.5 डिस्काउंट में गया, बाकी 4 में एक चैनल लेके जाता है. ओके, एंड रेस्ट 3 में एक कॉस्ट गया, रेस्ट 2 you'll have to spend in marketing, you'll have to spend in this one, then you will probably end up in 10-12% EBITDA. So any product you're launching, you're going to be completely DTC with quick commerce heavy and all those things. Make sure you have this 4.5x principle in your mind. If you can't match that competition price, look at Jugaad to match the price, or you need to have hack of reducing the margin. Otherwise, it's going to be a struggle. How to increase the retention rate? Again, various hacks, because again, long answer. We are already 5 minutes over the time. I'm skipping that. How to get onboarded into quick commerce? Quick commerce agencies won't help. Quick commerce is gatekeeper's mercy. Keep knocking. I'll tell you one hack we did. I will not name. Okay. One quick commerce. We were there. We were there in that quick commerce, but we were not getting enough attention from that category manager. Okay. For many times, one category manager. We were there in another 2 categories. We were getting good attention. We were not getting attention from that category manager. We actually hired a seat in that co-working space where they were working out of, and we put our category manager for 2 months there. Okay, चाय पे मिला, पटाया. So मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ बॉस? Quick commerce is the old modern trade. If you understand old modern trade, old modern trade में क्या है? If you go to let's say पुराना टाइम का बिग बाजार, डी मार्ट, वो परचेस में एक टेबल के सामने एक बंदा बैठा है, वो डिसाइड करता है तो अंदर जाएगा नहीं जाएगा, लिस्टिंग होगा नहीं जाएगा. अभी वो टेबल नहीं है, देयर इज अ गेट, देयर इज समबडी, यू नीड टू हैव जुगाड़ टू मैनेज. Agencies are there, but I have not found high success rate among them. How to get to offline distribution? Offline distribution, don't go very fast initially. There's going to be a lot of learning. It comes at very high price. So go slow, go deep, go in one geography. For example, we started, though we were a Mumbai Pune based brand, we started in Kerala because I am from there, and we started in Kerala. We went deep in one state, then we slowly spread. So go deep, don't just go multiple cities at the same time. Go one city, go deep, cover as much as possible. That's how you do offline. And have distributors don't do directly, because that's a skill which is very 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 expensive, and this one, so use distributors and go patiently slow. For setting up customer service in house, ऊपर गया question. That question has gone up. I can't see that. Okay, no. What are the organic paid percentage orders on marketplaces for True Elements? How much percentage net margin you are making on marketplaces? So in marketplaces, net margin, we at least play with 30-40. And in terms of investment, one principle we have always done, except for the deal days, is 10% of last month's sales is we always put back in the marketing. That's what we give marketing to the channel digital team. Okay. At current stage, we could work with that. Depends on the stage you are, and you need to figure it out. That's the numbers which we have worked on. So are you suggesting it's good to build own brand via hyper local module, especially if the promoters are region specific strong? 100%. 100%. क्लासिक केस, लाहौरी जीरा, वो खाली पंजाब हरियाणा वो बेल्ट किक कैश किया बाहर आया. बालाजी स्नैक्स, गुजरात मध्य प्रदेश किक कैश किया बाहर आया. Look at anybody who has done offline dadas, have done one small territory, go deep, do a brilliant job of execution, then you can do it nationally in no time. Retail format, Nature's Basket, we already done. Wood community selling be great at early stage. 100% great. Many people are trying it if you can crack it, because the brand salience you build community selling is very, 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 very intense, and it go viral very, very, very fast. And the word of mouth goes very, very naturally at very low cost in this. So community selling is always, that's why I suggested Misho as well, right? I told you initial stage, Misho kind of places has to be explored. For a plus size menswear brand, what should be digital marketing strategy and budget for performance marketing initial phase? बॉस मैं कपड़ा बेचा नहीं है, मेरे को नहीं पता. So I will skip that. What purchase raised by quick commerce companies during festival season? How does the stock move during that period? Do companies provide for all PO raised okay, quick commerce, that means you're already selling in quick commerce. One thing, you need to have a razor focus on GRN, because you need to at some point of time you need to go and tell boss, ये मैंने भेजा था, ये तेरा GRN आया है, मैंने सर्विस किया, इसका पेमेंट नहीं आया. That means reconciliation has to be perfect. Use tools. There are tools available online, because quick commerce are growing crazy. Few of them, not all of them. Blinkit has brilliant discipline on backend. Few of them don't have that discipline, so you need to own that. You need to make sure the payment is coming. You need to make sure the fulfillment is best, and you need to track that. Don't completely rely on their systems, so that tomorrow if there's a gap, you have data. Go and tell them, boss, this is what it is. And second, festival season, in some categories they go burst and give you big POs. If your gut says, boss, ये बिकने का चांस कम है, बेचना मत. लास्ट ईयर आई गॉट वन ऑफ द क्विक कॉमर्स just 3 weeks before the Diwali, asked for 1 lakh gift hampers. I had 200 rupees gift hampers, 1 lakh pieces. बोला बॉस ये तो जाएगा नहीं, वापस आएगा. We sent some 30-40. There's a huge fight between supply chain team and the account management team. बोला मैं धंधा लेके आया तो सर्विस नहीं कर रहा. बीच में हम विलन बैठे थे हैं, बट नेट वो 20 में से भी कुछ तो 1000 वापस आया हमको. Luckily we didn't send, because they are very optimistic about, like for example Amazon अभी प्राइम डे हुआ, राइट. सबको बोला बॉस अभी तो एकदम मतलब एकदम आग लगने वाला है, स्टॉक रखो, ये करो वो करो. सेकंड डे के बाद अकाउंट मैनेजमेंट के बारे, नहीं यार ट्रैफिक नहीं आ रहा, हमने जो सोचा उतना आया नहीं. दे विल जस्ट, so I am not telling don't completely, because sometimes we have paid price for that as well. For example, one category which account manager kept on asking us to launch was peanut butter. Since 2018 we never launched it, right, and it blew up, right. So what I'm trying to tell is your guts go wrong, so but yeah, use your guts. If starting in healthy snacking category, सागर ये बड़ा लिस्ट है, ये अलग अलग करना है या, because I have something
Um,
at
I
7.
think we can take the questions offline. I'll share a sheet and we can get the
Yeah,
answers
that would be
quickly.
better.
Like
Guys,
that.
I'm sorry, I have to get into something else at 7:15.
Yeah. So we kept a deadline for 7. We are 15 minutes upward.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. But yeah, thank you, Sreejith. A few takeaways, or if I can summarize, I noted 3, 4 points. Right. One is the founder story and the product that like makes a very like important point. Then pivots will be there, right? We don't have to defer and scare of that. We have always have to keep in mind that we should talk to customers only, and the cult following should be there, so that only the brand can be built. And pilots can't be more expensive, right? So few things which I have learned, and I suppose that all the audience and attendees have learned also. So thank you again, Srijit, for sharing your insights and your learning with us, which you have built through True Elements. And the session was hosted by Sagar Guliani, right, powered by Elevate under Pulse Session Season 2 and Session 4. Elevate is a acceleration program that we run for growth early stage companies to scale and grow them. So attendees can join in and register for the same. Thank you, Srijit, again for joining in, sharing your insights. We would be happy to chat again
Yeah,
on.
so guys, I'm pinging on LinkedIn or your other DTC insider groups.
Yeah, we
I
have.
might be little delayed in responding, but reach out to me. मतलब बॉस हमको किसी ने हेल्प किया इसलिए हम इधर है. So है हेल्प करने के लिए, don't worry. So reach out.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely weekend. Thank you, Srijit, for having
Thanks,
us.
Saga. Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you very much. Bye bye,
Bye.
guys.